Hey everyone, this is Chef Varouj, founder of CulinaryCreator.com, part 2 of your bonus videos. And this one is about seasonings. So before we get started mixing and creating our seasonings, I want to talk to you a little about the seasonings. Now, let's get back from the fact that, well, it adds flavor and all that to the spices and seasons of the food that we eat, but it also has a lot of other properties such as antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. It soothes pains to some extent, tummy pains or so forth. Um, is antibacterial, so it has every different herb has a little different properties. But this whole thing comes out or benefits. But this whole thing is all of their benefits derive from their essential oils, and the essential oils don't last forever. So it's very important for us to not keep the spices or the dried herbs forever. They don't last forever. So a good rule of thumb is about 6 months to a year max. So if you have spices in your cabinet that's been there forever, get rid of it, replace it with special ones. You'll thank me later. Big difference. It's basically spicy flavors or flavorful dishes to a bunch of scattered greens or whatever color in there. So major difference. So again, replace your spices. I know they're expensive. A tip for you, try to buy them in a bulk, and perhaps you could share it with your neighbor, your friend, your family member, and split the cost. That'll save you some money, and hopefully you use it faster, share it amongst a couple of friends or so forth. So, and there's that. So let's get started. What I have in here is basically a very kind of a basic spice mix, and you should be getting also a guideline how to combine different flavors according to different cuisines. So what I have in here is some freshly cracked black pepper, some cayenne, some sea salt, smoked paprika. You could use regular paprika, some ground chili powder, and some fresh oregano, and also some xylitol. I'm using xylitol instead of sugar here. By all means, you could use brown sugar if you like, but for the detox program, you want to stick to xylitol. So all we have to do is basically just combine them. Get it all mixed. Nothing fancy, nothing Einstein here. And what I like about doing this, instead of doing it every time, mixing a little bit and seasoning whatever food we're cooking, this way I fill up in a jar. Generally my jar is always full, and I got a few of these. You could label them, date them, and you could basically label and tell what it is for and whether it's a vegetable seasoning or Asian flavor, Italian seasoning, whatever you want to do. You could combine it, and that's what the list is going to help you with. So just go up in here, and basically you could even if you want to, you can mix it directly in the jar, put all the ingredients in it, and you're good to go. So to this you could always add additional spices and make it into different flavors if you like. Say you could add turmeric to it, you could add ginger, you could add Chinese spice, and make it into something more of an Asian if you like, or Southeast Asian. Or you could add more, say, dried thyme, dried oregano, or sage, and make it more of a Middle Eastern or more Mediterranean flavor. So the options are unlimited really, and you don't have to have a recipe for it. Just play with it, and you could come up with, there's a bunch of recipes out there, but the point is to really kind of get you into the trying mood and really experiment with it and come up with your own. And once you have it done, just write it down and you get your own spices. So again, I have a guideline for you to follow. So there's that. And then when it comes to basically marinades, in the previous video I showed you how to debone a chicken as well. And that was the reason why I also deboned it. Now some of you might not want to do it or prefer not to. I use it for the dual purpose of using the bones for the stock, and I'll use the chicken for an entree or a couple entrees for a meal. So when I do that, I generally take out the meat and then season it with some of the seasoning or marinate it overnight. You could marinate anything you want, from let's say anywhere from 10 to 10 minutes to an hour or up to a few days. So it really depends on what you want to marinate. And a marinade is nothing more than basically, depending again, let's say for a chicken, we'll just make some, say, I got some lemon, you could do lemon juice, you could do lime juice, depending on what kind of flavors you want to go for. And again, I'll leave this in here as well. You could do citrus, a mix of citrus if you'd like. You could do coconut vinegar, you could do coconut aminos. It's really up to you depending what you want to do. Again, some oil. I'm good at that, making a mess. You could add herbs to it. In this case, I'm going to add some rosemary. You could add some of the spices we just made. Again, you got a little spiciness, you got a little herbs to it. This already has some salt. You could always season with more salt depending on what you have. If you have a thicker piece of meat or chicken, then you could season it accordingly. But if you have sliced or thinner sliced pieces, then you don't need to add as much salt to it, or you might end up with kind of a salty dish. And basically this is it. That's all you have to do to it. And that's the most basic form of it. And all you do from this point on, you just marinate your food, mix it well, kind of rub it in a little bit, and then put it in a Ziploc. Finish it up, put it in there. Again, this will help you a lot. It will save you a lot of last minute kind of putting together things and washing a bunch of dishes and doing all that stuff. All you have to do at this point, this is done. I could do this once a week and I have my whole entire week's worth meal prepared, ready to go. All I have to do, I could even marinate, say you could leave the spices out and do just salt, pepper, olive oil, and some lemon juice. You could have all the chicken, and say if you bought a package of chicken, marinated and ready to go. That way, all you have to do, you don't have to eat the same chicken all over the whole week, throughout the whole week. What you could do, you could eat, say, a Mediterranean flavor one day. Next day you could add some coconut aminos, some Asian spices to it and make it into Asian flavor, some ginger, some sesame oil, and make it into more of an Asian flavor. Next day you could do more of a Mediterranean or Middle Eastern flavor. So it's really, the options are unlimited, but what you have to do, you don't have to let it sit again in our 24 hours, but it'll be pretty much done for you. All you have to do is just accent it a little more and it's done. The flavors are there already. They've already absorbed a bunch of the flavor. Just leave it in another 10-15 minutes to an hour if you have that much time. If not, you could do it last minute and you'll still be just fine. So there's that. That's very easy, very simple. Don't let it stop you from experimenting or getting in the kitchen and trying them. So, and that's that. Seasonings and marinades. Simple, easy. You can do it. So what are you waiting for? Get in the kitchen, spice things up. I'll see you in the next video.